Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have quite a few different things to go and talk about over here when it comes to just a bajillion different things. First and foremost, we have a huge, massive expansion when it comes to PlayStation 5. Seeing massive ramping ups and investments and everything else in between, kind of taking over the next, big next stage of, well, gaming. With a lot more big AAA games too as well, some brand new hardware coming out, and a little bit of interesting news when it comes to Starfield, Indiana Jones, and a few other various games too as well that have actually been cut now from PlayStation themselves. We have a lot of interesting stuff to go talk about, so let's go talk about it. Make sure you guys check out the Samsung link down below. Get $50 off, no observation, or obligation. There we go, is a better word for it. We also have the Amazon links down below, Twitter and Twitch. If you guys want to hang out and chill up on Twitch, feel free to say what's up. And of course, let's go dive into the video itself. So, first and foremost, we saw some really big news as of yesterday. I want to talk about this yesterday, as you guys know we're in some crazy weather. Number one, we're actually seeing some crazy big stuff on Sony and PlayStation now wanting to spend over $2 billion on game research and development. Now, this is probably some extra stuff as well when it comes to funneling and making brand new game studios. As you guys probably know, the Activision acquisition is going to put a $70 billion increase, which is going to add a lot more brand new games to the Xbox ecosystem. We're talking at least a lot of big games, things like, Guitar Hero. Things like, like Overwatch, World of Warcraft, a lot of big things, Call of Duty, all these types of big games will be added into that, and they already have, the infrastructure, the talent, the people they bought to go get the talent, and whatever it might be. But PlayStation has been fostering its own individual, talent a lot as well. Mainly as we've kind of been looking for things such as Horizon, things such as God of War, Santa Monica Studios, Insomniac, and all these other various big homegrown studios. But once again, you need to go and somewhat compete. And what they end up doing is they want to spend another $2 billion on game research and development. Sony Group is set to invest over $2 billion in in-game research and development, with a special focus on PlayStation Live Service games. Nikkei Asia reports that these funds will be spent during the fiscal year ending of March 2024, so the next, probably 2 years or so. PlayStation pivots to live service games as well to increase their revenue. PlayStation's 300 billion yen investment accounts for 40% of Sony's overall research and development spending, surpassing its spending in electronics and semiconductor segments. So basically, this is Sony them saying, we got to go even more big on the whole PlayStation side, trying to focus on the console market and everything else. Nikkei reports that since 2020, Sony has doubled its investment on gaming R&D as games are now a major pillar in its business. The increased push towards live service and subscriptions comes as Sony looks for ways to increase PlayStation revenues. The company traditionally relied on hardware sales, so actually selling the consoles themselves, but now wants to look at other revenue drivers. There's also, I think, probably been a big thing to note is that we've been seeing, especially a lot more of the video game IPs going on to TV and movies, etc., and that's going to probably be a pretty long-term consistent thing as well. So basically, the company traditionally relying on these hardware sales, and of course also software sales, are trying to dive into live service games as well, such as games such as, Destiny, as well as also Fortnite. They have big stakes in both. They own Bungie. They have a big stake in Epic as well. That would enable players to purchase add-on content. It's also a big thing when it comes to things like GTA and other various games out there. That we haven't seen too many individual Sony games, such as Horizon or God of War, that has live service, but maybe games such as Assassin's Creed, or there are various other games such as Fortnite, or maybe brand new multiplayer games like The Last of Us multiplayer game. There's always a chance they may try to push that as well. So Sony believes that the market for games with ongoing content additions will reach $19 billion by 2023. That is nuts. Sony has always maintained that it's purchased a Bungie to strengthen the live service game development, despite many seeing as a response to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which once again, Bungie is a good company, but they haven't had a chance to really prove themselves with other IPs as of yet. There are big ones coming out, such as Marathon, and that did get a lot of overall reception, and I do kind of think there's a lot of other games you should probably, watch and just be on top of. So Nikkei further adds that over 50% of Sony's game development spending as well. This should be big. We're going to be watching a lot in this next 2 years of them either buying up different types of studios. This is not really an acquisition amount of money because there was already allocated acquisition money from prior budgets. But at the same time, maybe making new studios, maybe trying to get a lot more hires. Maybe a good example, maybe the best example I can think of is The Last of Us, where they maintain the specific team to make The Last of Us Part 3, and then they maybe have add on new hires and try to pick up other studio talent to go and basically make, let's say, Last of Us multiplayer to go and research up other games. Or maybe a good example is also VR, whereas you guys do know PlayStation VR 2 exists, and they may want to put a little more extra attention and effort into the, PlayStation VR 2. So it's kind of a very intriguing thing to note. It's going to be a huge next step for PlayStation, probably their best response they could do so far for Xbox. Now, as well, Horizon series is also apparently just going to be a big heavy hitter for when it comes to PlayStation, where the developers have a pipeline of 16 games. Now, this might be a little bit of a hot take. I enjoyed Horizon, but I have never finished a Horizon game. The idea of the game, the world and environment are all very cool, and I like the idea of them, but I've never been like a big fan. It's like a good enough game, but it's nothing I've been in love with. God of War, I beat. Ratchet & Clank, I beat. Like all these other various games, I beat. But I've never actually been a Horizon game. So it's kind of crazy to see on how much they've kind of been going gung-ho for this game itself. So basically, Guerrilla Games says the Horizon series is going to be continuing it for a long while, with 16 plans all in the spin. When Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC was announced in April, fans suspected it wasn't the end of Aloy's story, and in May, studio director John Bart Von B confirmed that Aloy's adventures will continue. The Horizon universe will expand further than just one game, though, Van Beek hopes, as he revealed during a Develop Brighton talk, and the studios currently has around 16 plans as well. I can maybe see some mobile game stuff, more VR stuff, and maybe like 1 or 2 individual games, but I'm not really sure how they can somehow stretch out 16 games unless they're just using it based on the story and the world possibly, or maybe using assets. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't seem like something I myself would be fully in love with. But as well, also people already know we're trying to work on a multiplayer game, which I can be down with. Survival type style game, like a Daisy type style game, sure. There's also a reference to a Horizon MMO, which once again is a little crazy, first rumored in 2021. Rumors resurfaced last year following a new report suggesting that Sony has partnered with the South Korean developer NCSoft Corporation to once again make an MMO. And I think the world's cool, like have like a somewhat futuristic but also somewhat kind of more laid back world. Maybe try to do like a Monster Hunter type style game. I think that'd be really fun. But at the end of the day, we're not really sure. Van Beek describes development on the upcoming multiplayer cooperative game as a massive shift for the studio, almost on the same level as doing the first Horizon. He elaborates that building all this into a multiplayer experience is the whole new challenge for the studio, adding that the team is excited about the project. So it's kind of cool. We're going to be seeing a lot more new games. This also might be something that they'd want to invest money into on that same like research and development side. We also have the brand new $90 PlayStation 5 accessibility controller arriving on December 6th. So if you guys remember hearing about these news, we do know this brand new controller is coming out soon for anyone who may have a disability. Sony has revealed when PlayStation 5 players will be able to snap up its new accessibility focused controller, just how much the peripheral will cost. The X's controller will be available worldwide on December 6th. It will cost $90 and pre-orders will open on July 21st. Folks in Canada will need to pay 120 CAD for the peripheral. It costs $80 in the UK, 90 in Europe, and 1,200 yen in Japan, 12,000 yen in Japan. So basically, it's like a really big customizable controller that you guys can basically, it's just really helpful for anyone who may have a disability. It's very nice to go and see that they have this up here with 23 swappable button cap tags. And of course, this will kind of be what it looks like. It's a good example. I don't want to sound hopefully not offensive, but say like you have to use like your elbow. It'd be easy to use like your elbow for individual controls, or like limited motion of your hands, missing fingers, or whatever it might be. It just kind of makes the whole controller process a lot nicer and better. So number one, it's also nice to see investments into games and brand new games, but it's also very nice to see investments into other various style of games, such as like this, like you're seeing like PlayStation VR or other types of Pro controllers and everything else in between. So very nice, very cool. They can also go and have it controlled too as well with 2 DualSense controllers to basically make a one singular controller too as well, which is, I think, an awesome feature. Last but not least, some of the expected actual things for Starfield and Indiana Jones were expected to be forecast over 10 million copies sold. So Microsoft actually canceled Starfield and Indiana Jones PS5 versions to sell over 10 million copies. Because, well, they just thought it was going to have some good sales. So CFO Tim Stewart testified that Microsoft forecasted PS5 sales as part of an exercise to evaluate the impact of making Bethesda and ZeniMax games Xbox console exclusives. So it's crazy to go and see that that's like a lot of money at $60 each per style of game. But it's kind of nuts. Like 10 million plus sales is a lot of money. Like we're talking a lot of money. Although they are trying to say that even though they will lose this on Xbox exclusivity, they actually may make that money back over time from Game Pass and also extra Xbox normal individual sales. So those like $60, $70 sales too as well. But it's crazy to go and see that they actually might be able to go absorb these losses. Number one, by obviously having Microsoft being able to have a loss leader, but as well, it also then makes their competitors, PlayStation, lose money over time because they make less cut on every sale. And of course, that means that they slow down their expansion too. So in theory, it's kind of almost like trying to go and take a bite out of PlayStation to go and maintain their own individual side. But it's kind of crazy seeing how big these numbers were expected to be. I would have probably bought Starfield on PlayStation if I didn't have a PC, and as well, Indiana Jones, I'd maybe